Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gabriel O'Connell, CEO, Monaghan Integrated Development, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to the launch of our Leader Cooperation training project called Innovating Communities, Designing Our Future. Firstly, I want to welcome Minister Heather Humphries, Minister for Social Protection, Community and Rural Development. The Minister needs very little introduction to those of us here in County Monaghan, and indeed to those of us working in rural development in the region. She is a great advocate of bottom-up rural development, and I know she is very keen to see local initiatives that build the capacity of people to problem solve within their communities. Minister, I know you have a very busy portfolio and quite a bit on today, so we are very thankful for you giving up your time. I know you won't be able to stay for the full session, but we are delighted to have you for as long as you can. Just before I go to the Minister, I just want to welcome other people on the call. I would like to welcome LAG members from across the 6 counties, LAG chairs and members, local authority colleagues, public representatives from across the region who are joining us today. Also our chairpersons, board members, fellow CEOs, leader staff from the 6 local development companies implementing this LEADER project, you're all very, very welcome. And a big and special welcome to the many community groups and individuals who have already expressed their interest in taking part in this very exciting project, and they've gone to the website and done their registrations already. You're all very, very welcome. During the webinar today, we will be inviting people to post questions through the chat function, and we will respond to as many as those near the end of the event. And again, I want to remind everybody that the event is being recorded. Okay, so I am delighted to invite our guest speaker, Minister Heather Humphries, to address us and to officially launch the cooperation project. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you, Gabriel, and good afternoon, everyone. And again, thanks to Gabriel for the invitation to join you this afternoon, and indeed for your kind welcome. As Minister for Community Development, I'm delighted with you this afternoon, albeit virtually, to formally celebrate the Innovating Communities Leader Cooperation Project. In normal times, of course, I'm addressing you in person and hearing firsthand and indeed your hopes for a leader initiative. That's not possible due to COVID. I really value the opportunity to engage with you all, because, as you know, LEADER is a program that I'm very passionate about as Minister and as a TD for the Border region. Firstly, I want to commend you all for what you aim to achieve with Innovating Communities, which I know is the first day of the vision, and one that puts innovation to the core when it comes to rural development. I know you'll all agree that while COVID-19 has presented unprecedented challenges for our rural communities, it also has thrown up so many opportunities that we want us to capitalise on together. I'm determined to ensure that our rural communities are at the fore of our recovery post-COVID-19. And that's why I am really looking forward to publishing the government strategy on rural in the coming weeks, which will set out key stakeholders, including our lead pivotal role in this recovery for rural Ireland. All partners in achieving a common goal for rural Ireland, that's making our communities better places to live, work and live. To achieve this, we have to have innovation, cooperation and hard work strategy. So when we're talking about rural development, it is pivotal when it comes to assisting rural communities to be more active stakeholders in making our communities more sustainable. The LEADER programme is now 30 years old in Ireland. It seeks to build on the capacity and skills of local communities so to build better places for our citizens. These common goals that I have mentioned certainly provide an ideal backdrop and indeed context to the Innovating Communities Leader Cooperation Project operating day. This project represents of €1 million in leader granted, benefiting all corners of the region. And this project is funded by my department under the dedicated 10 million leader cooperation element of leader 2014 and 2020 programme. More is a project that brings communities together, given that it involves our partners from 6 local action groups in the border region. The project itself is being led by Monaghan Integrated Development, with local development companies from Cavan, Louth, Leitrim, Sligo and Donegal also playing an integral part. And you will represent significant investment of leader cooperation funding in the region. It is also a project that the leader can work at scale and deliver for communities across towns and villages. And I'm told that the inspiration for this project came from colleagues across Europe who, by sharing information and best practice, have highlighted the value and potential across Europe. And I understand that the trade provided by this project will help the population deal with the current. So it will also build their capabilities to take advantage of future opportunities that may present themselves, by adopting new techniques so that we can do things better for the people and the communities they serve. The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that we can adapt to difficult situations, we can show it and approach challenges in different and indeed more effective ways. It gives us an opportunity to re-evaluate the importance of rural economies and the potential for what rural Ireland and its people can achieve. As I always say as Minister, there is no one size fits all when it comes to rural. Different places have different strengths and different needs. And this project is very timely in supporting communities built from bottom up and respond to the local level. It's great to know the state to working with the wide range of projects. And I'm pleased to learn too that community groups and individuals are invited to log their local challenges and opportunities online through a dedicated website and register to participate in the design trade. And I think that Innovating Communities covers a wide range of areas: biodiversity, climate action, connectivity, broadband, smart villages, which I just happened to Gabriel about earlier there, which are where I think it's a real idea where we can come together and work jointly, and indeed, of course, Gillette. Or to see the impact that it will have on the budget progresses. And I just would like to commend the work of Monaghan Development, who are acting as the lead, supported by its 5 partners in counties Cavan, Donegal, Leitrim, Louth and Sligo. Incredibly, come together like this, and I think it's a very innovative project, and it's one of the first, I think, in Europe. So well done to everybody for getting this impressive project underway. And I know that it will benefit hugely the people in this region, because what you want to do is you want to work from the ground up, you want to work with communities, you want to empower them, you want to give them the capacity to identify exciting opportunities in their own communities, and help them to make that a reality. And that's what this is about. I recommend the 6 LCDCs, the LAGs, for supporting this project. And I really want to commend you for coming together, because we all know that through collaborating and working together, we do achieve better results. So to ever assess the ambition, and I look forward to reading the end of the report. No doubt it will be very impressive. So once again, just to say thank you for your invitation to join the this afternoon, and encourage you to be as innovative in this new project. And I look forward to working closely with you all into the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much for your opening address. You were struggling a little bit with broadband quality there. Well done for working through that, and just apologies just for the quality. Again, broadband and broadband coverage in rural counties in the border region is just another one of these kind of challenges that we're talking about that we need to address. Okay, I'm just going to move on. And again, I just see in the message, could we ask everybody to make sure they have their mics muted and use the chat function just for any questions. Okay, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the Innovating Communities project, what its aims, objectives are, and later on in the presentation, I'm going to bring in some of my colleagues and Des from Ice Cream Architecture, who are the company who are delivering the training. Okay, so today's world is complicated, interconnected and globalized, and problems are becoming more challenging and opportunities more difficult to identify. Innovating Communities is a training program to strengthen local development and community-led action across Donegal, Leitrim, Sligo, Cavan, Monaghan and Louth. So very much a border approach. It's at a scale that we haven't used before, typically in this region, and it's something we're quite excited about. Next slide, please. Okay, so the Innovating Communities project is a training program aimed at harnessing a rural population that is open to new ideas and new ways of working. By adapting new techniques, increasing problem-solving capability, and increasing confidence, the program aims to deliver innovative and creative training modules that will meet current challenges whilst building capacity to cope with future opportunities. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so where did the idea come from? We came across the idea in an EU leader workshop, and we've seen the idea in operation in Austria. It was a new concept there. They called it Nature of Innovation. They were using a process called design thinking to involve people in decision making and local problem solving. They were using it to develop ideas for the future of the region from citizens in innovation teams. Next slide, please. Okay, so we went and we had a look at this in Austria, and we like what we've seen. And late in 2018, we done a site visit there. At that point, they were just about a year into their project, but they were still able to share quite a bit of learning with us and how this could work back in Ireland in the border region. They were framing their training around challenges to be brought forward by interested groups and individuals. The types of challenges is interesting. You know, typically in community development and in rural development, we might talk about needs, but in this concept, we're talking about challenges. So their challenges revolved around the local economy, tourism, culture, rural and urban development and interconnectedness, and smart villages. So at the time we were there, they were working on an interesting project, redesigning a market space in the city centre. They used the project to bring rural farmers and town dwellers together to redesign the market space. That was a very interesting project. They're also working on a young designers living lab and a dementia orchestra project. You also see over on the right hand side of the screen some other projects that they were working on at the time as well. Okay, so what we've seen when we were there as well was alongside the training, they were using learning labs or spaces where people could undertake training and meeting outside of the training to progress their project ideas. They were creative spaces accessible to the community. We incorporated this important element into our Innovating Communities project, and we will have 2 leader learning labs per county, 12 in total across the region to run alongside the training. Some local co-funding was required for the leader learning labs, and this has been organised through each local development company partner, and in some cases involves local investment from private enterprise. In Monaghan, we have Combi Lift coming on board, and in Cavan, they have Manock, who have also provided necessary co-funding. I think just in the slide there, one interesting thing we've seen was the involvement of local enterprise. And you see the notice board there from the Learning Lab, where a lot of the local companies were providing funding, but mostly providing expertise, secondhand equipment, etc., for use within the Learning Lab. So an interesting model there. Next slide, please. Okay, so we set about doing our research. We brought the ideas back home. We were very interested in the idea of a regional training project spanning the border region, getting that economy of scale. And at the time, that was early 2019, we were very concerned in the border region of the impact of Brexit and the uncertainties for our communities. So we felt we needed to be harnessing our own innovation and creativity and starting to work on that as soon as possible. So as well as the learning from Austria, we also believe there was significant potential for learning across the 6 border counties that could be applied. A project of this size spanning the border region across 6 counties requires quite a bit of planning. Southwest College on board as an economic partner with a particular expertise in design thinking. And I just want to acknowledge the help and support of Barry McCarran, Southwest College, in facilitating meetings, etc., in their idea centre. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we are planning our project, making our funding application late in 2019. The 6 local development companies implementing Leader in the border region set about making our funding applications and securing the funding. In 2020, we were successful, and the total investment, as the Minister referred to there, just over €1 million across the 6 counties. So a significant investment in human capital and innovation and people creativity in the region. 6 partners implementing it and involved in the design of this: ourselves, Monaghan Integrated Development, Loud Leader Partnership, Leitrim Development Company, County Sligo, Leader Partnership Company, Donegal Local Development, and Breffni Integrated Development. Next slide, please. Our project goals, the overall goal of this project is to build the capacity of our communities to innovate, to solve problems, and to embrace opportunities. The goal is to identify, deploy, and sustain highly effective innovation training and support tools and infrastructure, and have it regionally coordinated. This will include new localized training modules being delivered in each participating location and 1 cluster project. The cluster project is the learning labs, leader learning labs, and we're going to have 2 of those in each county, 12 in total, providing a very interesting network of physical creative spaces that people can use both during the training and also between training meetings. Next slide, please. So in total, just to give you a sense of the scale of this, we're looking at 102 training courses, 17 per lag area. Shorter design sprint modules will deal with more straightforward challenges and needs in our communities, while full-scale training modules will focus more on the difficult and sticky challenges to be addressed. And based on our projections, in the region of 900 participants can be trained, 150 per county. So a little bit of competition is going to be there for training spaces. So we will be suggesting to all community groups to get registered on the website, get their ideas in and get into the process. In total, just over 9,000 hours have been allocated to training. So this won't just be an evening or two or a morning of two. This is training scheduled over the 2 years duration of the program. But as we say, a competitive process. Next slide, please. Okay, a novel element of our cooperation project is the use of local volunteers as co-trainers. As part of the project, we're keen to develop local trainers who could work alongside the contractor for the duration of the program and to gain some of those skills and to maintain some of those skills within the 6 counties. So we projected for 24 co-trainers, but as things stand at the moment, we're hoping to have 30 plus. That's what it's looking like. And that training has started already, and some of those co-trainers are with us today. And again, it's using this idea of learning by doing or experiential learning process. So just to make clear to all the community groups and individuals out there that may be looking at this, this is not go into a classroom and learn formal training. This is very much about rolling up our sleeves, working together, identifying a local problem in our community and seeing how we can put a plan in place to arrive at a solution to that problem. So just don't be afraid of the concept. The concept is very, very straightforward. It just uses some novel tools and new ways of looking at challenges. Next slide, please. Okay, so the legacy of the Innovating Communities project will be enhanced problem solving capacity and capability in our respective areas and improved analyzing problems and creating solutions, a better ability to be able to do that. Another important aspect is to become more aware of drivers of change within our communities and how to identify these. What are the triggers of change that happen, and looking at how we respond to those. The Leader Learning Labs will be a strong focus for group problem solving into the future, and that will be an important element of this. Groups and individuals will be better equipped to make use of available funding then in the county. I'm sure the Minister will love to hear me saying this, but very often funding is not the problem in rural development. Very often it's good ideas to come forward to be able to use the funding. And that's something we really want to focus on across the 6 border counties. I'm now going to pause for the moment and I'm going to introduce Desmond Byrne, who is project manager from Ice Cream Architecture. They are the company contracted to undertake the training across the 6 border counties. They specialize in the use of design thinking to support creativity and problem solving in groups and individuals. And they're going to walk us through the process here. And so over to you, Des, and we're very interested to hear your approach.
Good, Gabriel. Antar Humphries agus Accorda, Dave Gillette agus Forza Rove, Goody Innovating Communities. Is Misha Jessino Bierna on Integrated Ice Cream Architecture. It's more on an hour doing a bit Bantok Lesh on Chunskadil show. And now, just to say again, to reiterate, my team and I are delighted to be leading on the engagement and training of the project. And already we've been working out, as Gabriel was saying, with the co-trainers who are volunteering their time to support their local communities over the next 2 years. So the project has begun on the ground with the co-trainers to get that started. And over the camera is not how we would generally like to run this project, but don't worry, we have lots of tools and innovative ways that we can engage and kickstart the project and the program until the day that we can all meet in person. So together as the training team with the co-trainers, we're asking communities across the border region to put forward local and regional challenges they'd like to test and solve through design thinking. The journey will start for participants by registering on the website, innovating.ie, where you can tell us the local challenges that you think we should be dealing with through design thinking. And next, yeah. So after registering and telling us the challenges and putting forward ideas and discussing the challenges as a collaborative group across the region, after the launches as well that we have today, that is the first launch, and then we will have regional or local launches 6 local launches coming up in the next 3 weeks that I'll tell you the dates for a bit later. With the co-trainers in place, we will be ready as a training team to look at these challenges and work with participants who've registered to focus on which challenges are working across the region and how we can focus those into training cohorts. And these training cohorts will be made up of individuals, members of groups, different communities and networks from across the region. Once the challenges have been accepted and the cohorts in place, there'll be 2 different types of challenges and types of training that we'll be working through. One is design sprints, which are much more intense, quick fire training around the challenges that feel like they could be delivered quite quickly. And secondly, the full scale training will focus on bigger issues, harder ones to tackle, and things that might take a lot more time to work through. But we can work through with participants around which of those 2 is most applicable to their challenge. But today I want to give you a short intro to design thinking. Many of you might have already heard about design thinking, and you do not need to be a designer at all to understand or use design thinking. If anything, designers aren't the best at design thinking because they jump straight to solutions. And actually, design thinking is really about a process where you consider everything first and then you come to the solution. So design thinking is very much a mindset, and it's an attitude that we ask everyone to take with them through a process. And in that process, there are a set of tools that allow us to solve problems in a human-centered way. And the human-centered bit is probably the most critical thing, because through the process, we're constantly reverting back to the human at the center of the challenge. These would be the people who are affected by the challenge, the end user of the solution. And it's those that can tell us the most about how the solution should look. So it's important that at every step of the process, we're talking and working with the people that are affected by the challenges. To fully understand something, I always think you need to start at the beginning. And design thinking is a term that kind of came around in the 1950s and 60s. And this was in the kind of post-war era, where after the war, during such a drastic time, there was a huge amount of innovation that happened. There were so many inventions that came from the war, things like penicillin right through to superglue, all kind of came about as a means of the rapid design and production that happened during the war. So drastic times have proven time and time again to spur on innovation. And if you look around at the moment, you can see that the world is in a really drastic state in some ways. There are drastic times, certainly, and community life has been stunted in a way that we've probably never experienced before. So the silver lining of that really is that actually from this period, potentially we're going to have huge amounts of innovation coming. And the way people operate and they work with each other is changing. So it's the perfect time for a project like Innovating Communities to get started and to really kickstart some of the innovation across the region and to make sure it applies to the situation at the moment. But looking at the history of design thinking, there's 2 examples here that I want to give that kind of happened through the war that got people thinking around the process of design thinking and to start coming up with the staged process of design thinking and that attitude. And one was Nescafe, and freeze-dried coffee actually was invented during the war because there was surplus amounts of fresh coffee building up at the ports in Brazil. And they needed to come up with a way to make sure that product wasn't ruined. And what they did was they freeze-dried the coffee, and that meant that during the war, there was huge amounts, it was a perfect ration basically for soldiers. And that design process from the challenge, there was a challenge that they had too much fresh coffee, they needed to come up with a solution, and they ended up with freeze-dried coffee that immediately through the war was boosted because it was readily available for the troops on the ground. The other one was the biro. So mightier than the sword itself, ironically, the biro was invented during the war. And effectively, because the fountain pen, the pots of ink during the fountain pen were exploding at high altitude, the biro was mass produced to ensure that it could be used at high altitude. So this process of innovation and rapid design and manufacturing led people to think about design thinking and how the process supported the challenges that people were facing. And they coined this term around design thinking. And always it's about bringing back the person at the center of the challenge and the reason why they need to solve it. So we're in the perfect place for innovation to start. And this is what Innovating Communities is really about doing, about kickstarting that. But people then, when they were thinking about design thinking, they didn't see it just as small inventions. It was much more about tackling bigger issues. And they saw how a process that they later coined design thinking could tackle much bigger issues. And the term that they found for this was the wicked problem. These big issues, they're almost in some ways intangible. And these intangible problems, it's very difficult often to think about where do we start. And I think that exists in community development as well. Sometimes the challenge feels so big that it's often, well, where do we get started? So the process that design thinking gives us is a step-by-step process that allows us to work through the challenges and to test things and to make sure that we're coming out at the end, all the while we're putting the people who are affected by the challenge in the driving seat in terms of designing the solution. So the first stage of design thinking, the empathize phase, is very much about understanding and getting to know the people affected by the solution. There's a lot of research in this phase, so it's really trying to get the nuts and bolts of the challenge together. And when you have that research done, the define stage puts that challenge down in effectively a brief. And after that, after the brief is sorted, you can start to come up with early ideas. And this is a phase that will be really exciting with participants, because it's the part where you can just throw hundreds of ideas into the mix. And then you can start to narrow those down through the test phase. And the test phase is about quick thinking, quick moving, and starting to adapt the ideas and filtering down into an idea that can become the solution, or the thing that you will prototype and become the solution at a later stage. There is one more phase that I didn't quite mention. It's not quite a stage, but it is about a prior stage, which is the acceptance stage. And that is about making sure that everyone involved accepts the challenge and sees the challenge, and that it is the right challenge that we're working through. So design thinking is used very broadly, and particularly at the moment, it's used in commercial and corporate worlds. And you can see some of the major players, the household brands that we know very well. They're inside our homes in so many ways. And they're constantly using design thinking and processes that are human-centered and focusing on the challenges that people are facing. And this is a bit of a tale here between two brands that I'm sure many of us are familiar with. Both kind of started off at the same time. One was store-focused with where you could go and get your videos and your DVDs. The other was a subscription service that posted out DVDs to the subscriber at home. Through the years, Netflix has adapted and changed and is constantly listening to the person affected. And it's a constant mindset that Netflix have, that they're constantly evolving their offer and putting the consumer first. And that's why many people, especially in these times, are using Netflix so regularly. And on the other hand, the other brand never really continued to innovate its offer. So Netflix and other brands are using these processes regularly, and it's extremely effective. But this is not the preserve of the commercial and corporate worlds. Very much design thinking and the processes that we go through can be adapted and utilized, and those exact methods can be put into practice within community development to make sure that community challenges are being worked through in a phased process so that everyone understands the challenge And they also understand the process that collaborative groups are working together to get to the solution at the end of it. An example that we've worked on previously of design thinking is from a town called Huntly in Scotland. And Huntly is probably a little bit smaller than Monaghan town and a little bit larger than Donegal town. But in lots of ways, it's faced at the moment a lot of the challenges that local towns in Ireland have. So it was a rural market town, and the centre of the town used to be the real focus of activity, a real hive of things happening and people coming and going. But over the years, as services have moved out of the town centre and things have, there's been easier links to bigger towns or cities in the region, the town centre has slowly declined. And when we started working there, everyone told us the challenge definitely was to bring retailers into the town centre, and that would kickstart the reinvigoration of Huntly Town. And through the process, or by using design thinking, we worked through the different views that people had and the different players who were using the town centre. And actually, through the process, we started to see that it wasn't necessarily about bringing retailers into the town. It was much more about opening up the town centre. They wanted to have the town centre as a space that they could use themselves. And unfortunately, the town centre was owned by property portfolios and investment portfolios. So actually no one locally was in ownership or able to change what was happening in the town centre. By working with a local town team, so a group of organisations from the town and the rural area, and building their capacity to do things and to be more active and visible on the ground. And this is a leader-focused project as well. So in the background, there was a constant yearning to focus projects into leader strands and to make sure that they worked for the rural development that was ongoing across the town. And we used data as well. So we looked at how the vacant shop units in the town centre, and really driving that as an important bit of knowledge. So in that empathize phase, it was understanding the people, but also understanding the place, to make sure that we were fully equipped to make the decisions that would solve the challenges of the town centre. So we set out a strategy and a route map effectively for the town and for the town team to work through with their increased capacity to do things. They've started on that journey, and within 6 months, they had already secured 2 buildings in the town centre through funding that they've got. And they have the ability now to continue building the activity in the town centre. And now that the town centre is in their hands, they can continue to work and develop and build on where they've come from. But it was all really due to the process that we went through, and the people came with us on that journey and really made the decisions themselves and iterated and tested the ideas as we went. So that's just one example of how design thinking processes can support community development. But fundamentally, how are people across the Borders region going to get involved in innovating communities? The first step is to register at www.innovating.ie. And there you will see our challenge bank. And this is a crucial stage for us now, because we want to be able to work out what are the challenges that people want to focus on using design thinking. You'll see in the challenge bank, there's a series of categories there that cover a lot of the broad themes that we see the project focusing on. So please go there and to fill in your challenge, but also to read other people's challenges. You'll see there's lots of different things, very broad topics and ideas coming forward. But we want to get as many ideas in there as possible and challenges, and to encourage discussion so that people feel that it's a collaborative challenge that's coming. Another, as well as that, on the website, there will be you'll be able to see, as the challenges filter into courses, you'll be able to see the types of training courses there, and you can register your interest in those courses. Very soon as well, in the next 3 weeks, we will have 6 different local launches, one in each of the counties, and on the screen in front of you is the details for those. So you can register by Eventbrite by going to the website innovating.ie. But I think it's really a crucial time for stimulating the innovation, and we're at a really lucky point that this project is here, and across both locally and regionally, I think we can really focus the innovation through design thinking. The only other thing I want to say today is just to excuse the minister, but to thank you very much for coming along. I know you've have a very busy schedule, but thank you very much for launching the project and being with us today.
Thank you very much, Desmond. And again, thanks to the Minister for her time and struggling with a broadband issue there this morning, but your attendance is really appreciated. So thank you very much for that. Now going to move on and introduce June Murphy. June works in the Leader team in County Sligo Leader Partnership. She's been involved in developing the Innovating Communities cooperation project with us over the last number of years. And June is going to share her thoughts with us on how she sees the Innovating Communities training project fitting in with the needs of groups and people on the ground in her area. And she's also going to reflect on the project and how it fits in with some of the new priorities and aims in the new Transitional Leader Programme 2021. Over to you, June.
Thanks, Gabriel. Good afternoon, everybody. As Gabriel rightly says, I work in Sligo Leader Partnership, and I would work along both leader programs and social inclusion program as well. We're constantly trying to find new ways that we can support our communities to address various different challenges that change from time to time, and trying to find new tools or new ways to be able to support communities to develop new projects. And we believe that innovating communities and design thinking is one of those tools that will work very well for us. So as Gabriel rightly said, I'm going to maybe talk very briefly about some of the challenges that have been identified in Sligo since we started promoting the Innovating Communities project. Again, some of those will be replicated across the border region, and there will be other additional challenges that would be maybe more locally appropriate to varying different counties. And then I might just talk again quite briefly about how Innovating Communities might be able to help us deliver the new transition program that was just recently announced. So the next slide is just really giving you a sample of some of those challenges. The first is the importance in supporting men's shed development, and especially in relation to the challenges around sustainability, fundraising, and governance. The need to support groups and ideas generation around how to repurpose vacant buildings in various different villages for the use of addressing local needs and services. The need to develop and support the traditional music and cultural scene, especially in the challenge of looking at new ways of motion and engaging new markets. There's a range of challenges in supporting our community centres and community facilities and help them look at new ways to work. Many of our community facilities have been absolutely devastated by the effects of the restrictions over the last year, and to help them to reevaluate what services they are delivering and how they are going to deliver them into the future. The need to support creative space, creative industries, and especially in regard to the challenges of looking at new markets. To support communities that have identified needs of exploring micro-generation opportunities and how to become carbon neutral villages. The challenge of boosting, I suppose, awareness around community conservation projects and the range of opportunities there. The need has been identified as well to how exactly can we support our tourism and hospitality sectors that have been decimated by the impact of COVID restrictions, and how to support adventure tourism networks, especially into looking at new business opportunities in the off-season. Many community groups have identified the opportunities and around remote working facilities and the creation of digital hubs in rural areas. And again, one of the challenges again that has been identified is how do we support community groups to develop a shared vision, develop their community action plans. Again, that is just a sample maybe of some of the challenges that have been identified in our local area, where we believe that Innovating Communities can help us. Okay. So the next thing is, how can Innovating Communities help us deliver or improve our delivery of the transition program that's just been announced? And we believe that we can use Innovating Communities to support our clients, and be that our community groups or businesses, to develop new projects and to look at new ways of accessing leader funds to make those happen. So in relation to communities and villages, we believe that the program will help us engage new applicants and to develop new projects, and especially to help support and build capacity of those groups that have not availed of leader funding before, to build capacity and create new ideas and new projects in preparation for the new leader program that will come on stream from 2023, to promote projects which support communities, especially on the impact of post-COVID, and moving on and developing plans further there. To support digital transformation, to maximise the potential of broadband, and to use leader money or funds to support the digital economy in rural areas. To include building awareness about the potential of remote working facilities and digital inclusion. Also to look at supporting smart village opportunities and helping groups to identify proposals, especially in the context of new funding streams or European funding streams that will be coming down the line. In relation to enterprise and job creation, we feel that the programme will support us to support sectors in tourism, hospitality and food, to explore new markets, to expand, to innovate, or to diversify, especially in response to recent job losses and the impact of Brexit. It will also help us to promote remote working opportunities and to support rural employment. In relation to rural decline, we feel that the programme will help us and be able to utilise transition funds to reinvigorate rural areas, to support projects that have a real impact on reversing rural decline by developing or supporting groups to develop innovative solutions to coordinating of festivals, the creation of new community transport solutions, developing new rural tourism opportunities, or possibly reducing elderly isolation. In relation to the environment and climate action, we also believe that we can use Innovating Communities and design thinking to support new and innovative projects in the areas of climate action, environmental protection, and the green economy, to support sustainable tourism business and ideas, and to explore and develop other projects in other thematic areas which are likely to feature strongly in other European funded programs coming down the line. That's the last slide. And just in summary, we really do believe that design thinking and the tools of Innovating Communities will help us support transition. And by that, we mean to support communities to build their capacity, to identify new projects, new solutions, to test those out, and to attract new applicants. And we feel that Innovating Communities will do that. We feel that it will also support the border counties and support our unique set of challenges, especially in light of the impact of Brexit coming down the track. And also to support you and your community by helping you to identify your challenges and to identify or work out possible innovative solutions. And the very last thing I would like to say is maybe to encourage you all to visit our website, innovating.ie, and as Des has outlined before, to have a look maybe at some of the challenges in the challenge bank and to maybe identify some of the challenges that are relevant to you or your community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, June. That was really interesting, and it's great to hear the local perspective in the 6 areas and how you see the Innovating Communities landing on the ground and supporting communities in your area, and also to hear how you see it gelling and working in with the new transitional program, which is in operation for 2022. So thanks very much for that. Okay, I'm now going to move on. I'm going to introduce one of our newest members of staff here in Monaghan Integrated Development, Colette Mcentee. Colette is the project coordinator for the Innovating Communities project. Colette has been very busy in the first couple of weeks that she has been here with us, working on behalf of the 6 partners. So how she'll figure out who our boss is by the end of the 2 years will be an interesting question. But anyway, I'm delighted to introduce Colette to you here today. And Colette will also tell us about the plans that she has in place with the 6 partners for the rollout in the 6 areas. And I know she'll want to specifically mention to you the local launches that are coming up, and indeed our own local launch in Monaghan here is next Tuesday. So over to you, Colette.
Thank you, Gabriel, and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for attending today's event, and to Gabriel for the introduction. As he said, I am the network admin coordinator of the project, and so I am working between the 6 counties and companies involved. This is our official regional launch, and each partner will be doing a local launch and or a workshop in the weeks ahead to get their projects up and running in their areas. So please visit and register yourselves or your groups on the website www.innovating.ie, and you will also find the dates for those events on the front page of the website right now, so you can click through and register to join. At this point, I'll put forward some of the questions and comments made throughout. So there was a note from one of the audience members that this isn't compatible with some visually impaired people's software. So we will put up a PDF of the slides online along with the recording of the event itself. And then secondly, a question I can put to yourself, Gabriel, it is about the co-training. So has co-training for co-trainers started in Leitrim, but also across the board with all 6 counties? And how were the participants selected?
Okay, thanks, Colette. Yeah, the co-training has started. Initially, we had a plan for 24 co-trainers. The demand has been quite significant, so I think we're well into the 30s at this stage. Just to say, I suppose the co-training is a significant commitment, because not only will the volunteers get initial training and have to commit to providing their time for that, they will then have to commit to using the skills that they take on and to co-work on specific challenges that have been brought forward within their locality. So there's been a fairly strong campaign out in social media and through the internet in each local area, and that's how the people were identified. So we have 30 odd, and as we say, the training has started, and we're delighted to have the level of interest that we have.
Thanks, Gabriel. And just to bear in mind, you can still get involved by registering online on the website. So there are many different avenues of getting involved with this project. A second comment, we just have someone tuning in from south of Scotland, developing a networking initiative there. And also just Colin Markey, Louth MEP, is in attendance, and CE Joe Martin. So thank you for attending today. And then another question in regard to the design sprints and the full-scale modules, which you commented on and mentioned, Des. If you were to get involved, what is the time commitment within both of these that you foresee?
Sure. So between the design thinking stages of the sprints, there will be 6 different modules, or there will be a module of 6 different lessons within the sprint session. So that's a really quick-fired, quick-paced set of training sessions that we can do, focusing on a group and focusing on a challenge. And then also the full-scale one is a much broader challenge, most likely, and that will include 10 different sessions per stage. So it'll really depend on the challenge that comes forward around whether it feels like a design sprint or a full-scale challenge. And that's something we'll work with the participants to understand from themselves.
Thank you. And just a extra comment on top of the co-trainers, just on Leitrim. Leitrim has 5 co-trainers recruited, and they'll be helping facilitate the co-training. All right, and then just to close off, I appreciate there's a lot to take in, and I hope it has helped simplify the concept of the project and design thinking overall. I personally am so excited by this project and hope that communities and individuals like yourselves will avail of this opportunity to improve your localities and foolproof it for the future. Now, I'm conscious of time, so please just visit www.innovating.ie and get involved. You're all welcome. Thank you, and now I'll hand you back to Gabriel to finish up.
Thank you very much, Colette. We're coming here again now, and delighted to see all those questions, and a visit to the project website I think will answer a lot of queries as well for you, because we will be very proactively monitoring that website, keeping an eye on any queries that come in, and Des's team will be working directly with those. Okay, so if we could just flick back to the final slide, just in summary. So look at, as Colette said, we're really interested in and looking forward to bringing the Innovating Communities project out to our 6 local counties. Leader cooperation is a specific tool in the European Leader programme, and it's there to trial projects of a particular scale that are normally bigger than one county and sometimes can span multiple countries. So this is a sizable project and undertaken for the 6 leader implementing partners across the way. I suppose when we started planning for this way back in late 2018, early 2019, Brexit uncertainties was the key motivator for this project, and not an awful lot has changed in that regard. In the border counties, we're particularly susceptible to the uncertainties and implications of Brexit, and now we have to add to that obviously the impacts of the pandemic and the need for our border communities to rebound and to come back from that. So that is a key motivator. Connecting rural communities through shared challenges and opportunities will give strength in numbers and build leverage to secure investment and development. As we mentioned earlier, often funding isn't the problem. It's the emergency of well thought out, well put together and well reasoned projects. And that's what we hope to have plenty of coming out of this project. So by focusing on overcoming issues collaboratively and working together through a process, people can fully understand what solutions will work best for their area. Now, we're looking for community members from across the 6 counties to join a cohort of 150 people per county, 900 people in total, to engage in this training project and to enhance their skills around problem solving. This is a significant opportunity, a significant investment by government and by EU, and we're really excited about what can come out of this. Have we thought everything through as best we can? We have. Have we covered everything, and is it going to be perfect? No, it won't, but we will respond quickly. We will be creative, and with the help of Des's team in Ice Cream Architecture, we will make our very, very best shot at this over the 2-year period. Next slide, please. Okay, just quite a few partners in it. Always dangerous when you started getting into logos, but we're dealing with 6 counties. We're dealing with 6 local development companies as the leader implementing partners. That's Cavan County Local Development, Donegal Local Development, Leitrim Development Company, Louth Leader Partnership, Monaghan Integrated Development, and County Sligo Leader Partnership. And then alongside that, we have LCDCs covering those 6 counties through which the leader funding is allocated, and also, of course, centrally from the Department of Rural and Community Development under Minister Humphreys' brief. And just, we also have 2 private investors in the project that is listed here on the screen, and we covered those earlier. So on the Cavan side, that's Monaghan, and in Monaghan is Lift. And we'll be delighted and quite interested in getting other involvement and future involvement from other private enterprises as we go along through the project, because community is big. It's not just voluntary. Community is everything that happens within our community, and being responsive to that. Next slide, please. Okay, so a final thank you. We want to acknowledge the investment provided through the Leader Cooperation Measure of the Rural Development Programme 2014-2020 by our local LAGs, LCDCs, and from the Department of Rural and Community Development. And again, just to remind you again of the project website, innovation.ie. I also want to thank the staff of the Department of Rural Community Development, who we worked closely with while we were working up this project. They were very helpful and helped us along the way. To the local development company boards who got behind the project early, and in many cases are providing some of the co-funding for elements of the project. So a big thank you there. A big thank you to the 6 LAGs, LCDCs, who have seen the potential in this cooperation project for their respective area and for their local endorsement of the project locally. A big thank you there. And we look forward to working closely with all the LAG partners in implementing the Innovating Communities over the next 2 years. And finally, we will be using all media channels to get the message out. We would really appreciate your help also. Any groups, individuals, entrepreneurs, which you think could benefit from this training support, please recommend that they visit the project website and register your interest. This is a massive opportunity for our region. We want to see better, well thought out projects coming forward. We want to maximize this opportunity, and we would hate to think that any small group, social enterprise, voluntary group didn't hear about this or just missed the opportunity. So let's use our eyes and ears and mouths to get the messages out there and to fully engage in the launch. And as Colette has said, the launches kick off in the coming weeks, and our local launch here in Monaghan is on the 23rd of February. It's a local launch stroke workshop that'll get into much more of the mechanics of how this works. It'll start looking at the challenges that we have seen put up on our website locally in each county, and we will be taking it from there. Okay, finally, I just want to thank again all of our 6 partners here on the right-hand side of the screen, who I probably got to know a lot more over the last year and a half. Fellow CEOs, when we start working on collaborative projects, we tend to learn a lot more from each other. So I just want to acknowledge their input into this. They have all been active in the development of what you've seen today, and I really want to acknowledge their input. You will be seeing a lot more of their involvement then in the local launches coming your way in the coming week. I think, Colette, just before we finish off, was there anything else on chat just to, before I finish off?
Nothing more in chat, just everyone saying thank you, and yeah, pretty much just saying thanks for a wonderful afternoon and hopefully that they'll be getting involved, and that's that.
That's great. And I see from our loud colleagues there, just acknowledgement, Colin Markey, MEP, is in on the call. Thank you very much, Colin, for your interest and your attendance. Hopefully you like what you see, and maybe you can bring something back to Europe. Thanks, everybody. I think we'll close it off here for today, and we will be delighted to deal with any further queries or questions then that you have through innovating.ie. Thank you very much.